men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. In their fright, the women bowed down their faces to the ground, but the men said to them,
"Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here, for he has risen. Remember that he told you while he was still in Galilee? That the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and on the third day rise."
Then they remembered his words. When they came back from the tomb, they told all these things to the 11 and to all the others. It was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the others with them who told this to the apostles. But they did not believe the women, because their words seemed to them like nonsense. Peter, however, got up and ran to the tomb. Bending over, he saw the strips of linen lying by themselves, and he went away wondering to himself what had happened. Now that same day, 2 of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking with each other about what had happened, and as they talked and discussed these things with each other, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them. But they were kept from recognizing, and he asked them,
"What kind of conversation is this that you have with one another as you walk? How sad."
They stood still, their faces downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, asked him,
"Are you the only one who is visiting Jerusalem who does not know of the things that have happened?"
"What things?"
he asked.
"About Jesus of Nazareth.
They replied,
He was a prophet, great in word and deed before God and our people. The chief priests and our people sentenced him to death, and they crucified him. But we had hoped that he would be the one to redeem Israel. And what is more is that it has been 3 days since this has taken place."
In addition, some of our women amazed us. They came to the tomb early this morning but didn't find his body. They came and told us they had seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. Some of our companions went to the tomb and found it, just as the women had said, but him they did not see.
he said to them,
"O foolish ones, and slow of heart to believe in all that the prophets have spoken. Ought not the Christ to suffer these things and to enter into his glory?"
And beginning with Moses and the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself. As they approached the village to which they were going, Jesus continued on as if he was going farther. But they urged him strongly.
Stay with us, for it is nearly evening. The day is almost over.
So he went to stay with them. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and began to give it to them. Then their eyes were opened and they recognized him, and he disappeared from their sight. They asked each other,
Were our hearts not burning within us when he spoke with us on the road and opened the scriptures to us?
They got up at once and returned to Jerusalem. They found the 11 and those with them, assembled together and saying,
"It is true, the Lord is risen indeed and has appeared to Simon."
Then the 2 told what had happened on the way, and how Jesus was recognized by them when he broke the bread. While they were still talking about this, Jesus himself stood among them and said to them,
"Peace to you."
They were startled and frightened, thinking they had saw a ghost. And he said to them,
"Why are you troubled? And why do doubts rise in your heart? Behold my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit does not have flesh and bones, as you see I have."
And when he said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. And while they were still not believed because it was joy and amazement, he asked them,
Do you have any food here?"
They gave him a piece of broiled fish, and he took it and ate it in their presence. And he said to them,
"These are the words which I spoke to you while I was still with you, that all things must be fulfilled which were written about me in the law of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms concerning me.
Then he opened their minds so that they could understand the scriptures, and he told them,
Thus it is written, and thus it was necessary for the Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead the third day, and that repentance and remission of sins should be preached in his name to all nations, beginning at Jerusalem. And you are witnesses of these things. Behold, I send the promise of my Father upon you, but tarry in the city of Jerusalem until you are endued with power from on high.
when he had led them out of the vicinity of Bethany, he lifted his hands and blessed them. While he was blessing them, he left them and was taken up to heaven. Then they worshiped him and returned to Jerusalem with great joy. And they stayed continually at the temple, praising God.